Welcome to the first Democratic debate.
Of Democrats polling well enough to be in the presidential debates, one is clearly different. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Where is the conversation about peace?
Gabbard served in Iraq, and now she pushes for ending wars.
Every time we launch these interventionist regime change wars, every single one of us pays the price. We have to honor our servicemen and women by only sending them on missions that are worthy of their sacrifice.
There seldom is a discussion that I've heard about what is our mission.
Exactly. That's exactly the problem. What is the clear, achievable goal?
So in Afghanistan, you would have gotten out when?
Go in, defeat al-Qaeda, get out.
Gabbard also says we should talk with our enemies. She met with Syria's dictator and was criticized for that.
You need to acknowledge that Bashar al-Assad is a murderous despot.
I would think that they would say we should talk to everybody. Better talk than wage war.
You would think that's what they would say.
So what's going on with your party? Democrats used to be the anti-war party.
They're heavily influenced by a foreign policy establishment in Washington, whose whole power base is built around continuing this status quo. So much so to the point where when I'm calling for an end to these wasteful wars, they're saying, well, gosh, Tulsi, why are you such an isolationist? As though the only way that we can relate with other countries in the world is by bombing them or putting crippling economic sanctions in place.
Gabbard would also end another war.
As your president, I'll end the failed war on drugs.
She'd start by legalizing marijuana.
I've never smoked marijuana. I never will. I've never drank alcohol. I've chosen not to in my life. But this is about free choice. And if somebody wants to do that, our country should not be making a criminal out of them.
So once we're an adult, we own our own bodies and we ought to be able to poison them if we want?
Yes.
But you haven't proposed legalizing heroin or cocaine.
I think that's the direction that we need to take while still criminalizing those who are traffickers and dealers of these drugs.
Isn't that hypocritical? You can use it, but nobody can sell it to you?
Yeah, no, it's not at all. I think there's a difference here where you have those who are profiting off of selling substances that are harmful to others, as opposed to those who are making those choices on their own to do what they wish with their bodies. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record.
At one debate, she criticized Kamala Harris for being so eager to jail people.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
That moment changed the race. She was leading in the betting. Immediately, she fell 7 points. 10 days later, another 7 points. You killed her off.
I'm for the people, man. I was speaking the truth and speaking for a lot of people.
Good for Gabbard for bringing that up, and for running an ad that at least mentions America's debt.
Our national debt is something that we all need to take seriously.
But, like most Democrats, Gabbard would spend billions on expensive new programs.
I support Medicare for all, and I want to tell you why.
Medicare for all. We can't afford this stuff. The military entire budget is $700 billion. Bernie Sanders admits it will cost $3 trillion.
The money that we are going to save by ending these wasteful wars, you're right, it won't cover every other thing that we need to accomplish.
For example, free college. Don't you think colleges already waste a lot of money?
They do, absolutely. And why is it costing more and more and more every single year?
Look how much more it'll cost when it's free.
Well, this is the problem, is just throwing more money at it isn't going to solve it. So we have to deal with the systemic problem here, the root cause of the problem, one of which is how much administrators of a lot of these colleges are being paid or overpaid. Let's actually see where these dollars are going. Let's look at the fact that these universities, many of them don't have any kind of accountability or transparency in place.
How will you have it if you make it free? If the student had some skin in the game, his own money,
well,
he might care about how many administrators there are.
What we're working on, and we'll be releasing this in detail in the course of our campaign.
While we wait for that, Gabbard points out that her own education costs much less.
We had an education tent in our camp, and I did classes in that tent online. Mortar attacks were coming in. I'd have to run out and go into the bunker, but I tested out of probably somewhere between 40 and 60 credits.
It's cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Gabbard also joins other Democrats in demanding that government decide what businesses must pay people. The $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
How does that not destroy opportunity for a 17-year-old in his first job who isn't worth $15 an hour?
We're looking at this as an investment in people.
You've never run a business. You've never had to deal with hiring workers and having to pay minimum wage.
Well, let me stop you right there, because my parents started a restaurant, and all 5 of us kids, took turns sweeping floors, wiping tables, and serving food, and experienced the challenges and the hardships and also the rewards of a family-run business.
I apologize for not knowing you had
That's all right.
family restaurant. I'm glad we can have a civil argument about some of these areas where we disagree. Few politicians want to do that anymore.
It's
and
unfortunate,
I must say,
isn't it?
Of all the people polling over 1%, you're the only one who so far has come and sat down to talk.
Our leaders are increasingly unwilling to sit down with those who may be, quote unquote, on the other team. I love my country. You love our country. Let's come together as Americans with appreciation for our Constitution, our freedoms, civil liberties, and rights, and have this civil discourse and dialogue about how we can move forward together.
That would be good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's just a fraction of our 45-minute discussion. We'll post the full interview later this week.